Welcome to the What Really Happened radio show. Because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Friday, February 27th, 2015. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. So forth and so on here. Phone lines are open. 877-300-7645. 877-300-7645. We have got lots and lots of stuff to talk about today, but it looks like we got a phone call right here at the top of the show. So Michael in Florida. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Michael, are you there? Okay.
Hi, Michael. Yes, it's actually Michelle.
Oh, it's Michelle. Okay, well, I can understand why there might have been some confusion there. What can I do for you?
Yes, I would like to talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I don't think that a lot of people know about this, and I read today that they're actually going to have a vote on this or try to get it, voted on at the beginning of next month. Well, I don't know how much you've talked about this.
We've talked about that one. We've also talked about the other one, the transatlantic partnership deal that is being rammed through, and there's a tremendous amount of opposition because both of these treaties appear to be transferring national sovereignty into the control of large corporations. It also includes a huge amount of new intellectual property laws that people think are going to stifle innovation, and the TPP and probably the other one as well include legislation banning or include provisions to ban all GMO labeling by all signing nations, which is it's a big problem because most Asian nations do now label GMO products like Japan, and they're not going to want to be forced to reverse on that. So I don't know if this is going to get voted through or not, but it's another one of these classic New World Order globalist business deals that they don't want the ordinary people to know about. Okay? Okay, I think we've lost our connection there. So, Michelle, thank you very much for the phone call. What? Okay. I don't know what happened. I wasn't hearing her. All righty. I'm going to take some stories a little out of my normal order. As you're probably already aware, there was a tragic shooting up in Missouri where a gentleman, 36 years old, Joseph Jesse Aldridge, went on a shooting rampage, ending with his own suicide. Now, the official story is that he was set off by discovering his mother had passed away in her home, which is a traumatic situation. But this idea of just running out and shooting random people than himself, that to me sounds like the classic SSRI pattern, and I'm waiting to find out if this Joseph Aldrich was under some kind of psychiatric care and was on antidepressants. Because a lot of people, lose their parents. We all, sooner or later, lose our parents. It doesn't all drive us to act like this. And so I'm suspecting there may be a pharmacological dimension to this, which, of course, they'll try and hide. Now, FedEx is deciding to not accept shipments of the digital mill, the Ghost Gunner, because it might be used to make untraceable guns. Now FedEx is starting to act as enforcer for the gun grabbers here, because remember, the Ghost Gunner and the 80% guns, these are all still perfectly legal to own and to build. Nobody's committing a crime, and FedEx is now saying, we're not going to ship your package here, even though it's perfectly legal for you to do, because we're on the side of the gun grabbers here. Apparently, FedEx spokesman Scott Fiedler said this device is capable of manufacturing firearms, potentially by private individuals. That also applies to files, drills, screwdrivers, wood hasps. We're definitely getting into tyrannical situations here. All right, we're going to grab another phone call here. Glenn in Pennsylvania. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Glenn, are you there? Okay, we seem to be having some kind of an issue with our telephone system.
Hi, Mike. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you now. Okay, what's going on?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Hello?
Yeah, I was going to tell you. Okay, you set? You sound like you're transmitting from the deck of the Arizona.
Well, we're unable to get a clean Skype connection from Oahu to the mainland. We tried connecting 3 different times, and apparently Skype does not like my show or something, and we're just not able to get a clean signal. Okay?
Yeah, I gotcha. And you're intelligible. Just tell everybody you're transmitting live from Bikini Bottom. All right.
All right. Well, thank you for the advice. We'll let you go. Bye-bye. All right. There we go. Now then, a few days ago, the FBI arrested these 3 men claiming they were going to do all these horrible things. It's important to remember they hadn't actually committed any crimes. They just got arrested under the Minority Report theory of, we're going to arrest you because we think you were going to do something. And when that story broke and they started wagging it all over the place, the first thing I said is, somewhere in here is an undercover FBI informant who set these guys up. And by golly, I was right. According to firstlook.org, there was a paid FBI informant who literally went out, made friends with these guys, talked them into this idea of flying off to the other side of the world and joining ISIS, and provided the resources to do it. Because none of these 3 men actually had the means to do what the FBI says they were going to do. They were going to fly to Syria. They were going to do this. And so here we have another group of patsies set up for the headline value by the FBI. And if the FBI is doing this, and they've been doing it all along, it tells us there really aren't any real terrorists or real ISIS out there, or the FBI wouldn't need to do these things, would they? And so I posted a flashback to this story out of PatriotRising.com, where the former assistant director of the FBI actually admitted, yeah, we got to keep the fear high in the public so that we can keep our big budget. Got to scare you out of your money. And now, of course, as you know, there's a last-minute wrinkle in the Department of Homeland Security funding bill. The House has apparently adjourned without addressing this, and as of tonight, parts of the Department of Homeland Security have to shut down, hopefully the part that drops your laptops when you're trying to travel. And we've been hearing speculation that there may be a new terror attack to remind us of how badly we need the Department of Homeland Security, because remember the last time the Department of Homeland Security's budget was under attack? We got the Boston bombing, which we know was a complete hoax and a complete fake. Okay? All righty, the phone lines are really loading up here today. We're going to go to Robert in Texas. Aloha, Robert. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello?
You're on the air.
You said, oh, wait.
You are on the air.
Hello?
You are on.
Hello?
You are on the air.
Who did 9?
Okay, we've got really bad phone connections today, so I'm going to have to let that go. And all right, I'm going to move to this other call. Is this Michael or Michelle? Hello again? Okay, something's gone wrong with our phone system. I'm not able to hear them, they're not able to hear me, and I have no idea what's going on. So we're going to close the phone lines until we're able to. No, it's not my connection because this is a phone call into GCN. Line 2. I cannot. Michael or Michelle, are you there? No, I'm not.
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. I talked to you just a little while ago, but I wanted to make my point about the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yes.
One of the major things that is in here, because what they do know about it, because you know it's one of those things where Congress can't see it until they pass it. So there's not that much information about it. But the point I wanted to make is that it would surrender control of 544 million acres of public land.
Yeah, that sounds about right in there. And remember, that land belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the government. They have no right to lease it, loan it, trade it, barter, pledge it as collateral. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And I apologize for all the technical issues we seem to be having between here on Oahu and GCN. I just checked Our bandwidth is absolutely spot on. We pay extra for high bandwidth here. My end of Skype says we've got a good, fast connection. So I don't know what's going on, but there seems to be an issue between our phone system and Skype at that end. And, well, we're just going to keep on going here. And, Michelle, are you still there? Michelle, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. All right. So please finish up.
I have a question for you. There's a lot of people that are awake out here and know exactly what's going on. And everybody's getting frustrated because people are doing what they, the things that they think that they should do, emailing their Congress people, emailing all these different people, calling, and nothing works. Everybody's getting frustrated. What do you think that people should do? What can we do to,
Okay.
To get something done. I mean,
Well, I would encourage people to make their opinion known, but unfortunately, we're in an age right now where the United States civil government is just absolutely uninterested in what ordinary people have to say. They're going to vote their own wallets, and the people who are pushing these New World Order global business empires, if you will, they got a lot of money to spend. And again, I don't want to encourage or advocate violence because the government's already prepared for that. I think we're just going to have to wait and see if these other countries get arm-twisted into signing these deals, because apparently a lot of these other countries don't like these partnerships. And part of it has to do with the fact that it opens their borders to products they don't want. It mandates that they not report those products to their own people. And a big part of it is that it does seem to give these large multinational corporations the authority to override laws inside individual nations. And I think that's got a lot of people upset. Okay, I am hearing from the control room that we need to establish a better connection or go replay.
Well, thank you very much, Michael.
All right, we're going to let you go. We're not going to take any more phone calls while we try and sort out this audio mess. Everything at my end says we are connected with high bandwidth. So I'm going to keep talking until the next commercial break, and we'll attempt to try and connect something else up. But all the indicators at this end is I have got good, solid bandwidth here. I'm going over to Skype. Looking at the connection, and it says the connection speed between you is fast. Fast enough for high-quality audio calls. So at this end, there are no indications of any problems with connection or bandwidth. So I don't know what's going on, but there's an issue over there somewhere. Alrighty, so getting on to Russia and Ukraine, we are hearing from the Russian media that Gazprom may shut the gas valve to Ukraine tomorrow, Saturday. And that is going to accelerate the economic panic going on in western Ukraine. And the European Commission is trying to propose a compromise where the gas being sent into the Donbass is shared with Ukraine, but of course Russia does not want that because Ukraine is not paying for the gas. It's Russia's gas, and they're choosing to send it to the Donbass to help the people in this very hard, cruel winter. But they have a right to say Kiev may not avail themselves on it because Kiev has not paid their past due gas bill. They refused a prepayment on a pay-as-you-go plan. Russia's been very flexible, trying to come to some kind of an agreement, but Kiev's attitude seems to be, we're going to find a way to get the gas for free. And somehow scream that it's all Putin's fault. Now, the Ukrainian currency, the hryvnia, is plummeting. It's lost 70% of its value already, and this in turn has triggered a consumer panic, where the Ukrainian people are emptying out the stores while their paper currency still has some kind of value to it. and the shelves are empty over there. I saw some of the photos. Meanwhile, in the eastern Ukrainian republics, the 16th truck convoy of humanitarian aid is on its way from Russia to Donbass and Lugansk with food, medicine, college textbooks, things like that as well. Now, the leader of the Luhansk Republic has come out and said that if Kiev will back off the military action and just treat Luhansk as equal, they will hold a referendum among the people on whether they want to be with Ukraine or be independent, which seems like a very reasonable offer, but we already know that the people in eastern Ukraine don't want to be part of the junta in Kiev. So Kiev is not going to go along with this deal at all. We've been hearing about the mobilization from Kiev, how they're having trouble finding new people to flee into the civil war, and apparently 94,000 inhabitants of western Ukraine have evaded mobilization by obtaining Hungarian citizenship. We're not Ukrainian anymore, we're Hungarian, you cannot conscript me. So Kiev is definitely having a problem. Now, I predicted this next thing was going to happen. Story out of firstlook.org, where there's this story being floated around that ISIS is now in the eastern Ukraine. Ukraine has become the gateway for the jihadis. ISIS in eastern Ukraine, ISIS in eastern Ukraine. Well, we just have to invade now. We just have to. They're getting very predictable over there in Washington, D.C. France is now threatening more Russian sanctions if the Ukraine rebels move on Mariupol. They're still trying to push this propaganda that Putin is somehow in control of what's going on, and he's not, but any excuse to keep on ramping up the sanctions. And here's a final little bit of propaganda from the BBC, which stands for Brits Buggering Children. They are pointing to the fact that Russia complained about U.S. and British military equipment on parade 300 yards from their border. BBC is claiming this proves Russia is going to move into the Baltics now. The fact that they complained about our weapons so close to their border means they're coming across the border. It's a pathetic, desperate piece of propaganda. They are really trying to get this war going. All right, we're going to take another break for news here. We're going to try and get a better quality connection going here. And if not, unfortunately, we may have to do a replay show. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. I am going to try and slow down my speech so it is easier to understand me. But apparently there is a major technical issue going on. Where our connection to GCN just is not happening today. And we're going to go another half hour live, and if the problem is not resolved by the top of the hour, we're just going to do a replay show for the remaining 2 hours of today's program. And I apologize because we had lots of stuff to talk about. Claire was going to be with us in the third hour. So cross your fingers and hope that the giant mutant hamster wakes up and starts spinning the wheel a little faster so we can get our quality signal back again here. Now, story out of NBC News. NATO eyes air defenses over fears Putin will target the Baltics. This dovetails with that BBC report that because Russia expressed concern about a parade of heavy U.S. British weapons 300 yards from their border, that this means Russia is moving on the Baltics. Russia hasn't done anything. This is all U.S. NATO aggression. And it's going to end up with a full-on world war that has the potential to go nuclear. Because remember, for all the talk about Iraq's non-existent nuclear weapons and Iran's non-existent nuclear weapons, there's only one country on earth that ever actually has used nuclear weapons against another country, and that is the United States. We're seeing complaints already coming out in various media, like the Daily Mail, where this deal between Russia and Cyprus is being soundly criticized across the European Union. And Cyprus, the government of Cyprus is basically being scolded. How could you do this? Russia now has a foothold in the European Union. And they're drawing up the lines here. Europe gets to use Cyprus seaports just fine. They're trying to provoke a new world war with Russia, and once they get that, they will pivot to China, because these wars are all about protecting the U.S. dollar from the ruble and the yuan. Now, Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, has observed that from Russia's point of view, Washington, D.C. has failed to create a strong global anti-Russian coalition. It's got a few nations willing to make stink face like Great Britain, but overall, Europe is very cool on the idea of a confrontation with Russia because it will be fought in their front yards. And so this whole plan hopefully is falling apart. Now, we cannot rule out some kind of a false flag where something will blow up and, oh, it's a dastardly sneak attack by those gosh darn Russians and Putin did it, and launch the attack before anybody can say, wait a minute, can we look at the facts on the ground here? NATO is now ready to advise Libya on security and send in the drones to try and deal with the turmoil in that country. Well, the reason the country is in turmoil is the U.S. went in, overthrew Gaddafi, all because of the golden hour, and installed a new puppet government. And the people of Libya do not like their new U.S. puppet government, and they kicked them out, just like Iran did 36 years ago. Just had the anniversary of that. And the United States and NATO, they're not ready to have a country engage in self-determination. If you're going to have a government that we have chosen for you, and that's just the way it's going to be. We're also seeing in Arab World 360 where the Gulf Cooperation Council is taking the lead in planning a new war into Yemen, aiming from the south. Because the Yemenite people just kicked out their puppet regime. Okay. Now, down in Venezuela, things are very unstable. There are indications of yet another covert U.S. overthrow underway down there. It's led to massive rioting. Their economy was destroyed by this oil price war with Russia, and the violence is escalating down there. So turning over to Israel, as you know, next Tuesday, March 3rd, Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to speak to the United States Congress. And John Boehner is out there saying that, of course, it's perfectly acceptable for Netanyahu to directly address the Congress without going through the State Department, without going through the White House. And Boehner made a statement. The American people and both parties in Congress have always stood with Israel, and nothing and no one could get in the way. So just as a little bit of a fact check, we ran a poll. And we basically came out with, let me look at the last numbers that we got here. Most recent numbers we've got here. Do you stand with Israel? 3% yes, 97% no. And there are a lot of members of Congress who are not going to attend the speech. And AIPAC be gosh darned. Now, over in Israel itself, Israeli settlers are continuing their rampage of destruction. They set fire to a Jerusalem church, sprayed racist graffiti on a school. And it's rather amazing that this gets no media coverage whatsoever in the United States, whereas a bunch of cars with swastikas on them gets headline news coverage until it's turned out that it was another hoax. Another reason not to go to war with the rest of the world right now, China's submarine fleet is now larger than that of the United States of America. They have more diesel and more nuclear attack submarines. They've just launched their first supercarrier. Another one is already on construction. And they have a notable advantage in these submarines. And apparently, over the last few years, they have solved the noise problem that was plaguing Chinese submarines for so many years. It used to be a running gag on Oahu that when China started up one of their Sea ballistic missile submarines in Hong Kong Harbor, we could hear it on the hydrophones over here on Oahu. Those days are now gone. China's weapons are improving in quality, so are Russia's. Americans' weapons, the quality continues to decline because it's not about quality anymore. It's about maximizing profits, which teases us into the economy. German 7-year bond yield falls below 0. And Germany is now saying no more billions for those greedy Greeks. And Greece is now warning it may default on its IMF loans next week, which will trigger those credit default swaps sold by Wall Street against Europe and Greece's debt. Moody's has just downgraded Chicago's debt rating to just 2 notches above junk, saying that Chicago is not able to control the soaring cost of worker pensions. Oh, it's all the fault of those pensioners. It's all the fault of those old people. Well, we'll just send all those retired workers over to that police dungeon where they will just disappear, and that will cut costs. The reason the pension funds are in trouble goes all the way back to that 2008 mortgage-backed security fraud, and nobody has the courage to point the finger of blame where it belongs. We'll take a break and be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And, boy, this is, we're having a bad hardware day because now apparently something has gone horribly wrong with my web server. Always seems to happen right when the show is going on. It's kind of weird that way. We're going to do this last segment of the program, and if the sound quality does not improve, then we're just going to go to a replay for the remaining 2 hours of our program. I just don't feel like fighting the tech issues anymore on what's going on. So since it looks like we're going to be aborting our show early here, let's skip on down to human-caused global warming, my favorite subject here. And we're seeing all these cold weather records falling again. Let's back up here. Let's see. Oh, by the way, there's apparently a suspected Ebola case in Virginia. Might as well get that one out there. All right. February turned out to be the coldest February in New York City in 80 years. 7 extreme cold warnings issued in the Waterloo region. This is reported on 570 News. Coldest February in 140 years grips Detroit in deep freeze. Remember how the carbon Nazis are saying, well, it's only New England. It's only there. No, it's also Detroit. It's also Colorado. And it is also London. This February is the coldest month on record in London. February broke the 100-year-old Denver snow record. And there's another storm coming into Boston this weekend. Record cold predicted, well, actually, that was yesterday. And some amazing photos coming from the shores of the Atlantic Ocean in New England. The entire ocean has turned into a giant slushy. Semi-frozen water. There's still enough liquid where wave action is going on, but it's icing over. And what you need to remember are 2 things. First of all, that's a huge volume of water to have been taken down to the freezing point. And whereas fresh water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, salt water, ocean water, has a much lower freezing point, 28 degrees, and it's below that. Over at Stephen Goddard, his website, they're looking at the temperature trends in Michigan. The February temperatures are falling at an average of 69 degrees per century. They're 24 degrees cooler this year than 1998. But the carbon Nazis are still out there with their propaganda, and they're getting kind of desperate because over at the Bath Chronicle in Great Britain, they have a headline story, "This winter is the sunniest since records began." This is the sunniest winter since 1929. It doesn't actually address the issue of cold or warm. They're just out to say, it's sunny, it's brilliant. Another story out of the Weather Network. Natural cycle in Pacific Ocean implicated in global warming pause. See, they're going back to all this cold. It's a pause. Global warming is real. It's just on pause. No, it isn't. It's gone into reverse. Back to the other direction. And they're still trying to save their global warming hoax. We did a flashback story to 1974. BBC warned of a new ice age within our lifetime. They were flipping back and forth. So, now here's a very bizarre article, RINF.com. Monsanto wants to know why people doubt science. Well, we're not doubting science, but the very essence of the scientific method is that science is supposed to doubt itself. What Monsanto is really saying is, why do people doubt what we claim is science? Because we know so much of what is presented as established beyond question scientific fact turns out to be complete nonsense. Human-caused global warming. GMOs are safe for you. Vaccines are safe and effective here. We have a government and media propaganda machine that's out there saying that people who've got the flu vaccine are being infected with the flu by people who haven't had the vaccine. But at the same time, open-air GMO crops do not present a danger to neighboring varieties. And we know both of those are lies. We know both of those are lies. Now, speaking of vaccines, there's been another horrible, tragic story. This is over at vactruth.com. Parents in California are distraught, losing their son after being vaccinated. He passed away in his sleep. He got 8 vaccines all at the same time. And they discovered him lifeless, took him to the hospital. And, of course, what did the hospital do? Oh, it's sudden infant death syndrome. And the parents wanted an autopsy. They wanted the body back. And the hospital said, we can't give it back to you without cremating it. You really don't want to see what it looks like. So they cremated the remainder. It turned out 1 year and 4 months later, they found documentation showing that this boy was given a vaccine not approved for children of his age and twice as much of the hepatitis B vaccine that he should have gotten. And it's kind of ironic because last night on TV, I saw a rerun of this movie, The Verdict, one of Paul Newman's finest performances, about how a woman dies while in the hospital and the family wants to sue for damages and medical support. And the story is all about how the lawyers just engage in all these dirty tricks to protect the doctors and protect the hospitals. And it unravels at the end where the admitting nurse says they were changing the records to hide their culpability. Now, there's more and more concern over and around Tennessee Valley regarding the Boone Dam. We've been talking about this. It's not getting a lot of coverage. But apparently the erosion problems, the subsidence problems, are becoming severe. They're detecting movement in the dam's foundation, hundreds of feet underground. And it's not like there is anything they can do about it. Because there really isn't. Dams are rather permanent. That's why you try and build them as strong as you build them. But apparently they didn't do this one quite enough here. Okay, ExxonMobil has settled their $9 billion New Jersey environmental case for just $250 million. Over in Europe, the European Court of Justice has ruled that environmental groups have no right to file actions with the court, meaning they cannot legally oppose any European Union institution. But, of course, corporations still have access, can still file motions. They basically just said, we don't want to hear the opposition on any of this. Johnson & Johnson has lost their first trial over risperidol and was ordered to pay $2.5 million to a 20-year-old autistic man from Alabama who showed tremendous nasty side effects. And apparently the company did not provide a warning to an adverse reaction they knew was a possibility. Now, over at Fukushima, the fisheries in the area are very shocked over the fact that radioactive water has been dumped into the Pacific without notifying them to be careful about the fish they're catching. So, alrighty, we're coming up here on our top of the hour news break. I'm going to check in with Tom about our sound quality. Hopefully we'll be back live in a few minutes. Otherwise, it's a repeat. We'll be right back.